All right. Well, welcome everybody to another awesome video and great session here. I'm joined today by Dan Willis. Hey, Dan, how are you today?
I am doing really well. Yourself?
I'm doing fantastic, man. It's a beautiful Monday.
Yeah.
Looks like spring is finally coming our direction, which is great. I don't know if that's the same up by you. Down here by me, it's seeming that way.
Yeah, no, we just got snow over the weekend, so
So not the same.
no, we're in winter still here, but that's okay.
Well, Dan is up in Canada. Dan, why don't you just give a little bit of intro about you, what you do, so that everybody gets to understand, why you're here, and give a little intro about what we're going to talk about.
Awesome. Yeah, no, so I'm a digital marketing consultant for brands like H&M, Fox TV. I've done some Hollywood film. I've done it in multiple languages all over the world, a little bit in Europe, a little bit in the States, a little bit in Canada. But essentially, I walk into a company, analyze what their brand is about, and find a voice for them, and then figure out what is the best way to engage the world with your brand. And what I found over time was, if I'm going to use a system, if I'm going to use a practice, it has to be good for the massive company, and it has to be good for the individual agent as well. So if you've got a solo entrepreneur, that practice should work for them the same way that it works at a larger scope for a big company. And so really that's where I'm dedicating my time these days, is helping people realize that they can compete as an individual with a big brand if they use the right systems and tools, which is actually what we're going to tackle a little bit here today.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dan, you talk a lot about relational marketing and building relationships with your brand and doing that. I mean, it's kind of like the essence of having a brand anyway. I work in real estate. I coach real estate agents, help them grow their businesses, tactically, business structure, strategic planning, things like that. When it comes to marketing, and the system that we work with is a whole relationship-based system. But I'll see a lot of people get tripped up when they step into the marketing arena, when they step into social media, when they step into just, snail mail advertisements, that they all of a sudden get out of this relationship mindset into this like, oh, let me push things to you so that you call me for information. So I'd love to hear your definition of relational marketing and how you see it used. And if you want to touch on your thoughts on how real estate agents can better use it, that'd be great too.
Yeah, so relational marketing works on the concept that traditional marketing was essentially be a billboard, have all the tools and have your brand as visible as possible, as much as possible. And I know real estate agents from the conferences I've been to, the companies I've worked with, what I realize is that motto of 7 times, I got to get my people to see it 7 times, when they see my face, when they see my phone number, when they see my sign, 7 times, that's the key. And that's really outdated style marketing. These days, people see so much that their filters are set on high pretty much all the time. And the hard part with that is, for a business, especially an agency businesses, if that's not going to work, if just spamming your brand's not going to work, what do you do instead? And I see a lot of people saying, well, I've got all the tools. See, I've got Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn, and that's great. It's great that you've got a toolbox, but the reality is a lot of people just aren't using the tools effectively. Just using that in a traditional method of, oh, I'm going to spew onto these channels. Oftentimes you see your engagement is nil. People get frustrated with the tools very quickly. They're not seeing the conversion that they want out of it. They start wondering, well, am I needing to use paid ads? How do I have to spend more money with this? And the reality is the breakdown comes when you stop taking that relationship focus out of your digital tools. So what I teach big brands and little brands to do, it doesn't matter which one you are, if you're a solo person or you've crafted a business brand, is how to engage people in conversations and build relationships first. And then once you've got that relationship built, how you bring brand loyalty into it and start to get conversions, either directly with those new relationships you've built or via their networks as they share out your content to their network.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Now, do you see a connection between building new relationships online versus taking existing relationships and strengthening them online as well? So, for example, you have your database of people, your core group that you kind of maybe hang out with or you see on a regular basis, and you want to extend that relationship to a digital space as well, because you're doing stuff digitally, particularly real estate agents. They're posting things, they're sharing things about their life, about their business. How do you see that connection from kind of in-person stuff, and also maybe even the other way around, taking a digital relationship that was fostered and bringing that in person?
Yeah, so let's tackle the first one first, because these two are very important things, but they're very different animals, okay? So when you're taking a real world relationship and bringing it digital, the reasoning behind that is you want to share your authority and that person's authority in a wider scope. So personally, one-to-one, I could have a relationship with you. Nobody would actually know that unless that gets shown somewhere. And it doesn't necessarily need to be, hey, check out Matt's stuff, look at Matt's stuff. It's not me spewing your stuff as much as us engaging in the same conversations, the same groups, the same pages, the same platforms, Twitter chats. There's tons of opportunities for us to engage in the same places and be familiar with each other and really soundboard off of each other. That's the real advantage to taking a real world relationship and bringing it digital, is it allows you to take that relationship, and instead of you having to be in a room with this person, now you can build this on the go and on the fly, and you're building both of your brand's authority at the same time, which is really, really cool, because what you can do with that is, now that your networks are both out there working in tandem with one another, you've got this ability for people to go, oh, these two things are alike. Well, what are they about? I follow this guy. Should I follow this guy too? Because if they're this close and they're back and forth all the time, maybe they both have something to offer me that I need to know about. Now, one of the big things that for real estate agents, as far as this goes, is I don't think from a client perspective that that's necessarily the best thing for you to do. Just as your clients will probably buy with you, that will be the relationship. And then who knows, maybe down the road, 5 years later, that will be there. But for you to have a constant flood to them probably isn't the direction you want to go. It's more so about being present in the conversations that are happening on digital at the time. So that's where it's really powerful for a real estate agent, is that second one of taking a digital relationship and bringing it into the real world. And that's where using these tools effectively with relationship marketing is so core and key for any agency, but especially something like a real estate agent or an insurance agent, where you guys are looking to help people actually improve their lives, either through investments or safety, security, a home. And these are massive decisions. The reality is most people won't make a real estate decision online through a digital platform. And that's true even with your website. I don't care how well polished it is, your Instagram, your YouTube channel. They're not going to make a buy directly off of something they've seen online for the most part. There's maybe a 1% out there that will. But for the most part, it's about them finding your assets online and then creating that relationship, calling you, meeting face-to-face, you taking them on a tour to the houses. That's where that's really key. So the reality is, as a real estate agent, the more conversations you are in and the more visible you are as somebody who is knowledgeable but approachable in your area using these digital tools, that's where you're creating real opportunities for people to reach out and go, wow, I see your stuff everywhere, and I really feel like we engaged online. You helped me out. I had these questions about where's the best place to buy in my city, if there's any great homes to have. Is it a buyer's market? Is it a seller's market? Your ability to share your authority and your influence online really draws eyes to you more than you paying for a promoted ad that gets lost in the feed. You seeking out people that are asking questions and seeking advice, and you're there giving it away freely, is often what will draw people to you and give you that opportunity to reach out directly and say, let's have a real world meetup. I feel like you've got a lot of great questions and I'd love to sit down with you and just have a coffee and see what I can do to help you out. That genuine care and compassion resonates really well when it starts digitally, but you're willing to make that transition to the real world.
Yeah, I love that. And I do want to dive into the whole, because you brought up something that a lot of people think about is, should I pay for exposure on social media? And I want to dive into that. But before I do, I want to just bring a connection for people, because you mentioned that people will not make the purchasing decision in real estate online. And you're 100% correct. There are the exceptions, and I see too many people playing to the exception rather than the rule here. And National Association of Realtor statistics continually show this, that more and more people are using real estate agents to do a transaction, so you don't have to worry about the automated systems out there. There is a niche for that. Absolutely. You probably don't want to play in that. The other side of it is the life cycle of how people are thinking about real estate. when people are ready to make a decision to hire a real estate agent, that decision happens within a matter of days. There was a stat from NAR that said about 48 hours. So if you're trying to hunt for people in that 48-hour window, it's going to be very stressful, very tough. But if you build the relationship in advance, like Dan, you were saying, sharing valuable content, attracting people to you with education, with knowledge, with things that they can look at that and say, hey, this is really valuable, versus, oh, look, Matt just posted another new listing or another open house. Like what value is it bringing to the community that you're in, so that they can become attracted to you and attached to you way before they make that decision to work with a real estate agent. So Dan, you mentioned being involved in conversations, because a lot of people say, I need to make ads, but this is how you can actually get interactions for free. So what conversations should people be looking for? Or maybe a better question is, how do they find the conversations that they want to be involved in?
So that's often the big one. When I ask people, well, how are you using your social, especially as an agency? What I hear often is, well, I post 4 times a day. I post 5 times a day. And that's great. I'm not downplaying that. If you can create content at that level, fine. That's there. But that's for the people that are already engaged with you and have a relationship. That's not how you start a relationship. The reality is, the best thing that you can do, and for real estate agents, Instagram and Twitter are massive networks for you guys. What you need to be doing is using those advanced searches that they have to really narrow down conversations in your area. Both Twitter and Instagram allow you to search in location, in locale, in area, geographic, as well as conversational topics. So as a real estate agent, there are certain people, I know here in Ottawa, military and political is massive for real estate here. There's a constant in and out, especially as election times roll out and the new people come in and the old people go out, right? So the reality is, as a real estate agent here locally, you have to know your market, and most of you do. You do an excellent job of that. So take that knowledge and go, I sell a lot of residential homes and the people tend to work in the tech sector. Awesome. So guess what you should be dropping in a search bar on Instagram and Twitter? Hashtag tech, hashtag Boston, hashtag Virginia. Find that locale, find that area, and find that topic that you know resonates well in the community that you serve. And this is the big part. Don't spam those hashtags in your content. That's not the key. Find those hashtags and then see the people that are having the conversations inside there and just drop in. Don't puke on the hashtags. It will get you cut off immediately. People will filter you out. But if you start to see people saying, oh, Amazon's opening a new office here in New York, and I know that got kiboshed, but they're opening a new office here in New York. Great. So if I'm a real estate agent, what I'm searching is Amazon employee headquarters and looking at all the people saying, oh yeah, we're going to get transferred to this new headquarters and we need to find a place. And that's where you plug in and go, yeah, there's a lot of people coming in and it's really tough to find a place right now. I'd love to help you do that. Here are some great places that you can look at in the area. And here's kind of a feel for the price range that you're at. People will plug in and go, I don't even know who you are. And you're just offering me all this free information that's helping me with the problem that I put out there. Immediately what you've done is that there's somebody that needs to make that immediate decision or semi-immediate decision. They haven't clearly reached out to anybody locally yet. They're still in the process of, I am where I am and I know I've got to get there. By you being that first to the floor and saying, hi, my name is, and I want to help you. I don't necessarily want to sell for you. I don't want to be your agent. I just want to give you some information about the area and help you out that way. You're not landing. You're not trying to push and get them to sign the dotted line right there. What you're trying to do is say, hi, that's the problem you have. Here's the knowledge that I have that could help you. If you have any other questions, let me know. And I know for 90% of my contracts, that's exactly how the conversation starts. You have a problem. I can offer you a solution. Here's the solution. You're not going to charge me or anything for that? No, it's not about that. You have a problem. I can help you solve it. Here's some stuff to get you started. Wow, that was really helpful. Let's keep talking. Exactly. Yeah. And the reality is, when they land, when they go to make that decision, it's not going to be the guy that's got the billboard on the bus stop and on the side of the walls. That's not going to be who they reach out to. They're going to reach out to the person that took the time to seek them out online, provide information, provide value, and build that relationship first. That's who they're going to call when the time comes.
Yeah, you want to be constantly adding value any way that you can. And finding these conversations is not always easy though, right, Dan? I mean, so a lot of people will say, great, they're going to hop on Twitter, they're going to hop on Instagram, and they're going to be like, but there's no one asking real estate questions right now. And so what are some things that people could do to get involved with conversations locally, um, without getting discouraged of like, oh, but with the caveat here, knowing that, hey, people, this will take time. This isn't like a overnight, all of a sudden you're going to like blow up your business through this digital methodology. It takes time. It takes human interaction, but that's how you create the value.
Yeah. So for me, especially with real estate agents, when you ask them, well, how many sales do you need in a year? Really? How many did you have last year? 40? 50? Okay. So let's say you cut out the 52 weekends because you're doing open houses or whatever. So you've got 50 weeks of 5 days to work with. That's 250 days. If you can enter one conversation a day, find one conversation on the internet a day, that's 250 conversations. If a fifth of those ends up being something of value to you, you're hitting your quota, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
one conversation a day. Now, I understand what you're saying, though, where it's a little different than, well, you know your niche, you know your buyer, and that's who you're targeting. Great. Maybe you can't find conversations there. So where do you go? Well, you also know about your area. You live there, I assume. So you know what's big. You know sports fans. You know moms, what they're into, different events that go on, different clubs, different groups. So engage with those groups. Just be a genuine person. Be real. And enter those conversations. Maybe it has nothing to do with real estate. Is there a dog park around this community? Oh yeah, there is a dog park. It's right over here.
Yeah.
Does that have anything to do with real estate? Absolutely not. Does that show that you know your community? You genuinely just want to be a part of the community and you look to help people regardless of whether or not it's a conversion? Absolutely. And that's the core. It's about people. And social media, I know this is going to blow some minds out there, is about being social.
Yeah. Yeah. Social networking, people, being social, networking, creating connections, bringing value to people. And for those agents out there that maybe say, well, I have a big database, this doesn't important to me, but I want to use social. Well, then if you're still saying you want to use social, you have a good database, but you're not hitting your numbers that you want, then you're clearly missing something. And it's either you're missing your offline connections, or maybe you need to grow stronger connections online as well. And pushing information is not going to be the best way to do that. But Dan, let me ask you, there is a time and place for advertisements. Is that correct?
There is. For me, what I like to err is, or the side of caution I like to err too is, if you don't have the free system in place and you're maximizing that opportunity, why the heck are you dropping thousands of dollars into advertising?
There it is.
Because, I mean, if I ask most people that I know that have purchased a home, did you find your realtor on an ad? They will say no. I did not. It happened through word of mouth. It happened through somebody that knew somebody that's a real estate agent, or I know somebody personally that's a real estate agent. It didn't happen because Royal LePage or Remax or Century 21 had an ad on Facebook that really grabbed me. That's not how that works.
Mm-hmm.
And the reality is, when people start dropping that money into paid advertising, there are lots of businesses out there that do an excellent job of that. But if you're not maximizing that initial relationship, all those paid ads are going to do is waste your money. Mm-hmm. If you've started to build a relationship, let's say you've built it online, people come to your website, and then you've got great remarketing ads set up where people show up on your website, and then you make that additional connection, not the first connection, but that second or third connection with them that way, that can be quite effective. But I always make a point whenever I start with a brand, with a company, it's let's look at how you're engaging socially first using your digital platforms, using your real world platforms. If you're not doing that effectively, you throwing ad dollars at it is just going to be a constant problem for you, because your ad budget is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger because you're not addressing that issue of the real world connection. The worse this real world connection gets, the bigger your ad budget is going to have to get. And the
Yeah.
reality is, if you invest that same time that you would have crafted into finding an agency to do your ads and approving ads and spending your time with watching numbers on ads, if you took that and put that into relationships, you would save a pile of money. You would actually get more word of mouth advertising directly from your network, localized to your community, in your industry, and that cost you bubkiss, nothing. And
Yeah.
the beautiful part of this is, you as a real estate agent, yes, you may be a person, but your person is a brand. So you can have, I know many real estate agents that have an executive assistant or a marketing assistant that works on their team already. Great. That person should have that permission to speak in your voice into these conversations. You can use that person to come across as genuine through your profile. It doesn't constantly need to be you on your phone. You can have a team that uses your brand and speaks for you. And the beauty of doing it that way is, maybe you don't have the time to dedicate to that one conversation a day, but your team does. As long as your team is able to track those conversations and fill you in when it comes to do the face-to-face, oh yeah, we talked to this person here, here, here. They want to know about a dog park, swimming pools, and how hot it gets in the summer. Great. When you go to do your face-to-face, you drop down on them. Did you manage to find that dog park okay? Man, the heat is brutal right now, isn't it? It'd be great to have a swimming pool. Let's go find you a place. That easy, simple, relatable connection that you have that came not maybe from doing it one-to-one, but using your team effectively, can be just as powerful in creating long-term relationships. And again, it may not lead to an immediate sale with that person, but that person's going to have that in the back of their mind for weeks and months down the road. And anytime somebody says, oh yeah, we're looking to sell, or yeah, we're looking to buy, they're going to go, there was this guy that reached out to me and just blew me away. He took all the time. I didn't even buy anything through the guy. He just took the time to help me out and help me understand a few things. You should probably check him out. That word of mouth marketing is priceless. So you're wrestling with, oh, should I throw $1,000 into ads? You tell me, is your word of mouth marketing powerful? Because if it's not, that's where you should spend your time.
Yeah. Yeah. Take that money and put it into how can you build these relationships better with people. And I love how you brought up remarketing when people come and land on your website, because I talk to a lot of agents about this in person. People will say, hey, I want to do a farming campaign, send postcards to a neighborhood, but they don't have that system in place for the people who already know them. They're not sending out the postcards and the valuable information to the people that already know them, in my opinion, robbing them of that resource that you're sending out. And so for everyone who watches this, know that when you market to people who already know you, who are already connected to you, you're going to be able to send a much stronger message, and you're going to be able to add more value than if you market to strangers. And too many people, even agents who understand that importance offline, are going online and making the same mistake that they made years ago with sending postcards to a farm of 1,000 homes, hoping that one of them calls them up. Yeah. You're going to have that same issue on social. And Dan, I think that's exactly what you're saying here, which I think is so valuable. So I don't want to take up too much of your time here today. I appreciate you spending the time, Dan, dropping some value. Any other quick tips that you have for real estate agents, and anything that, or information on how they can connect with you if someone's interested in learning more about you, connecting with you, et cetera?
Yeah, so the best advice I can give you is this. Sit down and write down 5 names of people that you met digitally online that led to a real world relationship in your community in the past, let's say 6 months. If you can't do that, you've got a problem. You constantly should be updating a list, whether it's online or you're one of those old-fashioned folks like me that likes to use a journal or physically write things down. If you can't list 5 to 6 relationships that you've brought from digital into some kind of a real-world connection in the last 6 months, you've got a problem. And you need to address your relational marketing, because you're not doing it at all. And I bet you, I almost guarantee you, if you can't make that list, you're spending some crazy ad dollars. So I want to save you money, I want to save you time, and I want to actually help you build a business that looks like it's got this really great relational brand behind it. And that's a simple way that you can do a quick analysis and figure out, am I good here or am I struggling here? If you can't do it, time to invest some time. As for connecting with me, I'm on Twitter. You can find me. I will give Matt all of my details, but Twitter and LinkedIn are the two best places to reach me. I like to keep it professional. Twitter is great for real-time interaction, and I love it there. And LinkedIn is a very professional network. It lets you guys see my authority. I am happy to do one-on-ones with agents. I do it all the time. I love to do it. I plug in. I work with your team if you have it. If you don't have a team, I work with you one-on-one. And it's quick. It's simple. They're half-hour calls, and I help you get done what you got to get done.
Fantastic. Well, Dan, appreciate all the advice that you're sharing with everybody, dropping some great knowledge here. We'll put links wherever they will be on whatever platform you end up watching this on. It's hard to say that you can't say below or wherever anymore because everybody's got their different stuff. So somewhere in this space. And so everyone out there, agents, if you want to step up your social game, do it this way. Do make sure that you have that foundation built. And also before you get on social too, make sure you have that in-person foundation built too, because once these people come into your world in person, you got to be a human being there too. In fact, you've got to be a human being there first before you can even get on social. So
absolutely.
Appreciate it, Dan.
Not at all. It was a blast, man.